Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Mark from SolarGames, and today we're going to be talking about Magic the Gathering. Yes, that's right, folks. Yes, we win. Universes Beyond is everything now. And yes, so every IP, everything you love can and will be part of Magic the Gathering. If you like SpongeBob, Bart Simpson's, Poopy Pants, whatever, My Little Pony, everything. Well, actually, that one, My Little Pony is already a Magic the Gathering secret lair, Universes Beyond. Holy shit. Like I'm like making shit up and now they're just possible. And I guess to a lot of fans, probably like, Glee, we're probably going to get a lot more anime crossovers now too, because, well, anime is super hot. Wizards of the Coast has discovered that anime is how you sell cards. So instead of making like their own IP that's really, really good, they should just go out there and steal other people's IP or cross over them into Magic the Gathering. In all honesty, the reason probably why that I haven't made a lot of videos about Magic the Gathering recently is because I'm kind of ambivalent about the game. I have played the game less and less, and honestly just has not made me want to even touch the game or look at it. There are so many parts of the game that used to be so unique for me. It was like fun, I could have identity. I felt like I was playing and immersed in a universe all on its own, is now hyper diluted. Universes Beyond is the new Magic, and to be honest, it's not really the Magic I want to be part of. Yes, it is really cool to see Warhammer in there and the things I like, and even now with Marvel. And I know some of you guys might think like Mark is probably super anti Universes Beyond, or he hates, crossover and pop culture or whatever. No, I used to be a big Marvel fan. I was in it, on every single movie, everything we had, all the way until, of course, like Phase 4, all the way until Infinity War, right? Just like everyone else was, because the movies are good, the storyline was good. Man, one of my favorite movies of all time was Iron Man 1. It probably still is. It's one of those movies where you just keep going back to it and you feel something, and there's like identity, there's like, the really good, like cohesive character that you care for, that has development, and just, it's cool. Tony Stark is fucking cool, dude. And that's something that we lack in Magic. I mean, I look back now and I think so many, like guys, right, got into the game and really love Liliana, like, these characters. Chandra, because, whatever. But like now it's so weird to like Magic the Gathering. I mean, like, from Bart Simpson to like SpongeBob SquarePants and My Little Pony. And wait, hold on. Actually, I'm just making up shit, right? And I realized SpongeBob apparently is coming next year. And My Little Pony was actually already a secret lair. So I guess this was done before they even called Universes Beyond. And if it was done today, those cards probably wouldn't even be silver border. They'd probably be black border, just like every Universe Beyond cards now. Now Wizards of the Coast is announcing that they're making Universes Beyond like even heavier into the game. What this means is they're going to move up from about 4 set releases a year to 6, and again, remember, this is just 6 standard sets. This doesn't even mean all the other sets that kind of surround the game. For example, like you might have a Master set, you may have a Modern Horizon set or whatever set, right? Pioneer Horizon set, etc. Some Christmas set, or Infinity set, all these other etc. things that could happen are interwoven into the 6 standard core like sets of every year. That's insane. And half of those right now, they're saying, are going to be Universes Beyond. So, like I said many videos ago, right? When I try to warn you, when other content creators try to warn you guys, this is coming, everyone's like, nah, man, this is not going to come. What are you talking about? You're overreacting. This is crazy, right? Well, we're here. We're literally here. And Universes Beyond will continue to be part of everything and dilute. And look, I'm not saying that there's nothing good about Universes Beyond, and I'm not saying that it's not going to bring in new players or anything like that. And I see it. I see the new energy. I see the players. So there is something positive. I get it. But the question becomes whether or not you really want Magic the Gathering to be just a card or play system. And this is the thing. Like, if we look at what Universes Beyond is doing to the game, it's diluting everything, right? It is now Magic. And you think they're going to stop at 50%? if it's making all this money and they're seeing the numbers, they're going to push from 50 to 60 to 70 to 80. And pretty soon, Magic, the things that you think about are Magic, it's going to be a tiny little bit of the actual game. And majority of the game will be something else. And let's not even get started with all this licensing, other issues that Universes Beyond is introducing. Yes, I've heard about the artist issues, and we'll address that in a different video because I think this topic right now is so big that we have to address it over multiple videos. And to be honest, like when the Commander things came out, right, where Commander was Commander RC and the whole entire Commander format has been absorbed under WOTC, I want to make a video, but I was so angry that I think every single time I turn on the camera and try to say something, I felt like whatever I could say just never was good enough to represent what you guys are all probably feeling. And that sucks, right? When Universes Beyond became more mainstream, when we announced the Marvel Universes Beyond and all the calendar for next year and all this other bullshit, I wanted to make a video, but I felt like for the first time, and maybe I should just stop being so reactionary and just take a step back, look at all the facts and see. And now that the Foundation's pre-release has happened last weekend, I do see the player growth. I see there are more players now out there. There are more players who are interested in Magic, wanting to learn more. That's great, you know. And I think a game should grow and deserve to grow if it's a good game. My problem right now, though, is a lot of these players are walking into Magic not realizing kind of like what they're getting into, right? And yes, there are going to be players who come from Final Fantasy, Spider-Man, you know, Marvel, whatever, right? All these other IPs that we're now bringing into the universe. But at the same time, is it good that we're driving away a lot of the original people who liked the old Magic for what it was? I don't even want to get in this whole argument. I see it everywhere where it's just like, this is the real Magic. No, Magic is this. Whatever this is right now, 30 plus years now we are in with, you know, Spider-Man and, you know, Walking Dead and whatever else IP, right? This is Magic. Fortunately, unfortunately, doesn't matter. But what I want to ask is it good for a company to go bleed out their old players for the new players? I think there's good arguments on both sides, right? Obviously, you want new blood because those are going to be the future of the game. But in some ways, like if you look at games like Warhammer, you look at games like Pokemon, right? I love the fact that Pokemon over the last, about the same time, about 25 years, 30 years now too, hasn't really changed. I mean, it's got new Pokemon that I don't recognize anymore, right? I used to be a huge fan when I was a kid, but at the same time, the core element of what is Pokemon is still present, right? You have a trainer who uses a Pokeball to capture Pokemon. They then fight, you know, for you and against each other, and you battle other, you know, whatever, like with gym leaders and whatever, and you kind of like save the world. This kind of concept is still the same. And I love the fact that this simple concept that made me really interested in Pokemon like 20, 30 years ago, right? 30, I'm not that old, okay, 20 years ago, excites kids today. There are kids who collect Pokemon cards. I literally still sell Pokemon cards all the time, right? To other kids, families, etc. Like the parents who I source and sell Pokemon cards to, who are gifting those to their kids, they watch Pokemon too when they're kids, right? And this is the insane part. 25 years later, the IP is still the same. Yes, there are new Pokemon. Yes, there are other trainers. There's not just Ash, Misty, and Brock anymore, right? There's more. It's fine. But the core IP is the same. Now let's take a look at Warhammer. Warhammer, honestly, has had even a longer IP history than Magic the Gathering. It started from the days of tabletop where somebody thought, hey, it'd be kind of cool if instead of like dragons and monsters, we do this over like space. And somebody had this great idea to build out this entire universe full of stories and, you know, like different armies coming together, like, you know, and they seeded all the potential in this gigantic universe. And then you could look back in time, forward in time. There's things happening. It's a dynamic universe that's continued to develop and grow. And the storyline is not over, right? There's mysterious like traitor marines and like lost legions that we don't know. Maybe there's like something there. Then there's like, you know, Necrons waking up. There's like potentially like the swarm, right? Tyranids coming. When are they going to come? Are they going to come and they're going to invade everybody? Everyone's dead, right? Then there's all the traitor legions who went to chaos, who are like, Are they going to potentially come back? What's going on? They're even among their ranks, they have insubordination, like they're trying to like figure out exactly who their identities are. And just the story is everywhere, and you can dive into literally any piece of Warhammer, and there's more to dig into, right? All of that, the crazy thing is, all of that's true for Magic too. Like, people don't think about this, but there's so many pieces of all the stories of Magic that we have not even dug into. And honestly, I feel like Wizards of the Coast just blew their load super fast, right? The Urza story, right? The Brothers' War. That story is great. And there's so much more pieces we can dig into that the creators don't care. I mean, we get one set and it's done, right? There's a big, gigantic war and we're done. Yes, I know, it's like over many sets, and it did sell pretty well as sets, right? But I felt like there's so much more we could have dug into there, but it's gone. And now that portion is over, right? And it's almost like Wizards of the Coast has ran out of ideas, right? They can spark and despark their planeswalkers, and that's about it, right? Why don't we pull some new threads, get some new storylines going, get some old storylines going, right? Finish out some of the storylines that maybe we started before. Build out this entire IP, right? And who's to say that we can't have a new generation of planeswalkers, a new generation of the Gatewatch or Lorwyn 5 type of thing, right? Of course we can. The thing is, Magic is not interested in doing any of this stuff because world building and building your own IP costs money. And why do this when the simple thing to do is we have a great gaming system, we should lend it to everyone else, share it with the world, right? Literally, this is what Mark Rosewater is saying. He is saying, like, all of Universes Beyond is just entirely a gaming system and that it should be shared across the world with everyone else and other IPs. The other thing to think about with the Universes Beyond is that Universes Beyond is permanent. No matter you like it or you don't like it, it's going to be in Magic forever. And because of the way that it's been handled, let's be honest, look at things like the One Ring. It's a very powerful card that was introduced and potentially a mistake, but no one's banning it because you can't, right? They probably signed some secret contract with a Tolkien estate to say that if we're going to do Lord of the Rings and we want to have future contracts with Lord of the Rings to sell more cards, we can't ban the One Ring. On the other hand, I mean, if Nadu comes out and it breaks Commander, ban the shit out of it, right? It's if you think about how this kind of works, look at the balance, it's fairly obvious. Universes Beyond is going to have like its own power and its own set of rules that guard these cards. I mean, we have new cards released just now, right? Marvel cards, Storm, for example. Everyone's looking at the card and saying, this card is broken. It's just too good. You think they're going to ban Storm? There's no fucking way they're going to ban Storm. This card right now, I mean, it's Marvel, right? No way they're going to ban Storm. And that's the thing that you have to understand. It's permanent, right? And secondly, if, let's say, a player, right, joins from Marvel, but then like when Final Fantasy comes out, it's like, what the fuck is this? I'm not an anime fan. What fucking weep shit, right? They leave the game. Well, guess what? You, the player who are still here before Marvel came, you came for Foundations, let's say, right? You have to stick around for the weep shit. You have to stick around for the comic book shit. You have to stick around for them fighting each other and then some other SpongeBob shit. That's all part of Magic now. And again, they're pushing this mainline. If it was just a side product like skins or whatever, you could, argue that you can not engage with it. But these are actual core cards now. I mean, the core sets, the standard rotation will include cards from other, IPs, right? And they're going to be part of it. Like, what if there's a really good Spider-Man card or whatever? And you think the new Spider-Man set is not going to have a card that's really, really good? Like, the Spider-Man is going to be bad? No way, right? So that card, of course, will see play. But that's also going to be part of Magic. And like if you want to see the future of Magic already, notice how like on the marketing material for Foundations, it says Foundation is the quintessential IP set. Meaning this is the most representative of the Magic IP is Foundation. Cool, right? On the surface is great. But what that's telling me is that the core IP of Magic is now the minor part, and we have to highlight that, versus everything else that's being released by Magic is now going to be Universes Beyond and essentially not core Magic. Who decided this? How do we get here where Magic is no longer core? And this all happened so like for those of you guys who have not been around for a long time, don't understand how we got here. This all happened within 5 years, right? Before this, like 5 years ago, before COVID, fuck, dude, Magic was killing it. Like we had cool island shit. We're sailing on pirate ship and stuff like that. Yes, it's a little bit leaning towards this direction. I'll be fair, right? It's fair. However, it was still Magic. Like you had like Eldraine. Everyone loved Eldraine because it's a very like Arthurian legend, very very fantasy-esque, and just does really well with Magic, right? Again, completely core to the Magic story, very uniquely Magic story, right? It was not like a riff off of like there was no King Arthur. It wasn't even like borrowing from public domain IP. It's literally Magic, right? And we've gone so far away from that already. And that's where we are. The thing also of why, so like a lot of you guys are probably thinking like, well, why does Wizards do this? Why did they kill their own IP? The reason's because it's for the money. Like, let's be honest, Hasbro, the parent company of Wizards of the Coast, which creates Magic and other games, they're a publicly traded company. They have to make shareholders like me happy, and their stock is not looking too great right now. Which, by the way, like it always dumbfounds me that Hasbro's stocks suck with all the things they're doing Magic. I mean, I've told you, if you ever see me discuss the whole Hasbro like shareholder whatever meetings, it's pretty sad what's happening. Literally, Wizard of the Coast, and pretty much all of Wizard of the Coast is just Magic, is pulling in all the money, and Hasbro's bleeding all the cash everywhere else, right? Their toy line, all the other businesses are bleeding. That's what's happening at Hasbro. That's what's happening at Wizard of the Coast. And over and over and over and over again, people don't realize that why is there so much pressure for Wizard of the Coast to continue to expand, build the brand, and continue that image is because they need to expand the company. They need to bring in more revenue because every other part of the business is losing money, right? It was always about the money. It was never about like, oh, we're doing this for the players. Yes, they only do it for the players if it's actually beneficial for them financially. Now, my argument is that they could have done this for the actual Magic players and still benefited financially. But now we're doing this thing where, we're pushing more and more sets down people's throats. Like, if you guys haven't put into perspective what 6 sets a year feels like, you're going to see it very soon. And it's going to be very, very, very confusing. Like, before you have, like, okay, if you don't have a job, you're like just chilling at home all day, sure, 6 sets a year sounds great. But for most of us, we have jobs, family, all this stuff. And maybe that's what they're trying to do, right? Like, kick those guys out because we just need like the college students and high schoolers to play Magic because they're going to have a lot more free time. But for, people who have to do other things other than play Magic literally all the time and talk about Magic and review Magic and think about Magic, like we don't have time. We have to continue to assess what's happening in the game. And that's essentially what 6 sets a year is going to feel like is you are always looking, either you're playing the current set, you're probably thinking about the future set, and you haven't even really finished collecting the last set. And then there's another set coming, and you think ahead and think, how's that going to change my deck, whatever. It's going to be crazy. Yes. Is it going to be, super fresh all the time? Probably. But is that really a good thing? And honestly, think about this for yourself. Is that a good thing for your wallet? Like, you're going to be spending like way more money just to keep up with the game because the moment you fall out for one set, now you may not have the key cards that you can be even competitive in the game itself, right? And again, 6 sets a year, 50% Universes Beyond is destroying the brand at all costs. And what do I mean by destroy the brand? Again, going back to that quote from Mark Rosewater, Magic is a great card system and we want to share with everybody. And you know what other card system is out there that's a card game that's shared with everybody? Weiss. Is Weiss a great game? Is Weiss a game that's played everywhere? Go to your local game store. Do you even know what Weiss is? Most of you guys probably don't even know what Weiss Shorts is, right? If you go to your card game store, nobody's hosting tournaments for Weiss. And it's a game where 50% is like Weiss cards, and the other 50% is literally collabs, right? Collaborations with other anime, whatever. But even Weiss, right, in its current state, even Weiss knows that it should collab with things that are in the same like realm as their core game. Weiss is tailoring towards their customer, which is an anime base, And they collab with like Attack on Titan, other animes, and anime adjacent IPs. You don't see Weiss going out there trying to figure out how to like make sure King of the Hill is inside Weiss, right? Or maybe some other like, fun show on Netflix is inside Weiss. That's the point. Wizards of the Coast has gone basically to the point where they don't even care anymore, right? It's a game system that they're willing to share with just about anybody as long as it brings in any cash. And overall, long periods of time, yes, short term, it's going to bring a lot of players in. Long term, it's going to destroy the brand because all the players, you know what kills a card game? It's not the fact that like the brand is dead, because that's kind of like the thing that we talk about, but it's really not going to kill players. What's going to kill a card game is if the card game sucks, right? Which at this point, Magic is already getting a little bit too convoluted already, right? And it's only going to get more so because you have to introduce new mechanics for all these like universe beyond, capabilities, characters, unique, IPs. But also, what's going to kill a card game is kind of that like momentum or lack thereof, right? As players leave because their universe beyond is no longer part of Magic, it's going to push a lot of players out, and that negative momentum pulls more players out. Because like if you look at, do you want to go join a game that's dying, right? This is why like a lot of games, whatever on the internet, it's like the moment you say this game is dying, people start just leaving in droves because they don't want to be the last one out, right? It's like a hot potato situation. You don't want to be the last person still playing this game that's dead, right? In a similar way, we are getting massive growth, right? And I guarantee you this year, next year, Hasbro is going to do very well. Wizards of the Coast is going to do very well. Even better than what they've been doing before, which is already really good, right? However, long term, my thinking is this is going to start bleeding the game. Now, does Wizard know ways to change this back or adjust? Yes, absolutely. And there's a lot of cannon fodder, essentially, that they can still burn through, right? And goodwill. But at some point, they have to figure out what their plan is, because this whole plan of making their game more broadly available to everybody, dude, Final Fantasy already have their own game. They don't need your game. If anything, what this is going to do is make sure people understand that, hey, Final Fantasy is really cool. Search Final Fantasy TCG online and find out there's another game. And then let me go check out that game because I like Final Fantasy, right? I think the last point I'll bring up today is really this idea that Wizards of the Coast has no respect for the fans. They have no respect for the fans that have been loyal to them for over 30 years, built this game from the beginning, right? Who, blood and sweat and tears, went to tournaments, created communities, etc. The LGSs that supported this game. With ever-increasing prices, with all these changes that are just kind of like edging these old players out, is that really what you want to do? Is that really how you want to treat the people who built this thing with you? To me, that just doesn't make any sense. Because one of the things that you have to understand is this. While it is true, Spider-Man is going to be awesome, it's going to be a single set. That's going to be awesome for some people. But for all your loyal fans, for all the people who've been with you forever, they now have to deal with it forever. And they have to be the people who are bearing the consequences of Spider-Man being in the game. And even companies like Konami, Bushiroad, right, Bandai, even they know this, right? And these are not companies you should model yourself after, right? I say these names for those that know, right, who play the games under these like brands. You understand what happens with your game. Even those companies know how to kind of secure their own brand and continue pushing things forward. And I feel like Wizards of the Coast does not know. And I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure what happens in the future for Magic, but I do think that with this big announcement, with how fast Wizards of the Coast is willing to change everything they say, right, to adjust for the future. Because remember, the thing that a lot of you guys probably didn't know is when Universe Beyond first came out and a lot of people complained, Wizards of the Coast was pretty quick to do damage control and say things like, hey, this is only going to be outside the game, skins only. We will print, like Magic equivalent copies of this eventually or whatever. It's going to be part of the list slot, whatever, all this other stuff they built in, right? Promise, all essentially broken at this point, right? This will never be part of standard, it's part of standard. This will never be part of the main game or exclusive, it's exclusive cards, actually. at this point, I don't know how much goodwill you can have and trust with your customers. I feel like you're losing this battle. And realistically, who's going to stick around for the rest of this? Personally, what this means is, I'm looking at some of these Magic cards I have. Some of these things really bring me a lot of joy when I look at them. But the reality is, I haven't really had the, same excitement or, just joy looking at some of my older cards. And yes, the artwork's still amazing, and those things will be with me forever. I'll never forget what a underground sea looks like. But overall, kind of feels like we're losing a lot of that identity. And I don't know. I don't know if I will still talk about Magic at all within a couple years. Do I care enough to continue to, even sell cards? I don't know. And that's the really scary part. Because if somebody passionately loves your game, great. If somebody passionately hates your game, great, because they care. I'm feeling apathy. And apathy tells me that I don't care anymore. And that's actually probably the worst thing that could happen to your game. That's going to do it for me for today. I'm Mark from Solar Games. Stay classy.